What's up, family? Back again. This one's a little different. For the most part, I wanted to make sure that we deal with a little current events also that actually means something, not just a whole bunch of funny stuff. This one does have funny stuff in it. I'm a fan of Jesse Lee Peterson. I think he's a brilliant guy, and I love the way he actually puts stuff together, because he does try to troll people and make people laugh at the same time while giving you serious issues. And that's what this one is mostly about. If you're here, thank you for being here.
I've got a lot of family here, some of whom are here in the audience tonight. I also had my first abortion at the Seattle Planned Parenthood. Yay!
If you say so.
Notice I said first. If I could Yelp review it, I totally would.
Yes, I had abortion in Seattle. Abortion is still one of the most divisive issues in America today. I have with me Dr. Willie Parker, an OBGYN specializing in abortions. He's also the author of Life's Work, a moral argument for choice. Dr. Parker has been featured in Esquire, NPR, New York Times, Rolling Stone, Newsweek, and more. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
What made you decide, you know what, I'm going to do abortions?
Somebody once said, when you wrestle with your conscience and you lose, you actually win. The reality is that 1 in 3 women in this country by the time they're age 45 will have an abortion.
Amazing.
And it's the most common health care procedure that is offered. It's also one of the safest, but it's also one of the most controversial because it is a decision that is unique to women. My awareness as a physician of what happens to women when that care is not available convicted me around what it meant to be a woman's health care provider and to be a Christian, which ultimately led me to conclude that there was nothing doctrinally or specific about abortion in sacred texts, whichever one you're talking about, nor was there anything that prohibited women from having control over their lives and their bodies to make the same decisions that men are entitled to make as moral agents.
That's amazing. How is abortion a health care procedure?
So when a woman has a pregnancy that affects her health, or that she decides to end, if she doesn't have an opportunity to end it safely, anything that risks or ends that poses a risk to your health is a healthcare issue.
I mean, it's a healthcare issue for the baby, the unborn child, and that you're killing the baby.
Baby is a cultural term, it's not a scientific or medical term, and you're not a baby before you're born. Because of our laws, you're not entitled to block a woman from having an abortion, or you're not entitled to force a woman to agree with your definition.
Aren't you taking a life?
Before the law. This is before the law.
You are killing an unborn child, right?
I'm not killing an unborn child.
You're taking the life of an unborn child.
I'm ending a pregnancy.
But does that require you to take the life of the child that's in the woman's womb?
I don't define a pregnancy as a child, and
does it have a life? Is it a living?
It is a living entity. It is a life. It is a human being, because women don't have puppies, but it is not a baby. And if it were a baby, it would be a person. Correct?
So the reality
let me finish.
So the reality is you are taking a life.
So do you want to have a dialogue, or do you want to let me answer your question, or do you want to answer my question?
Answer the question about are you taking a life?
Okay. Yes, an abortion ends a life. If you call the police, will they come and arrest me?
That still doesn't take away the fact that you're taking a life. Is it possible you could be wrong now?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Is it possible that you could be wrong?
No.
You can't imagine how you could possibly be wrong, and I question myself all the time. Voltaire said
I would
that,
if I were you. Let me do this.
Have you ever changed your mind about anything?
I have.
Okay.
That's why I'm glad that you're at least thinking about the way you feel about Christianity and abortion now and sin and all that, because you are wrong, and by you thinking about it, maybe you get back on the right track.
This isn't about, you didn't invite me. I'm here I came here at your invitation without knowing anything about who you are and what your agenda is. And I didn't come here to have you openly scrutinize what you think my moral compass is. If you want to talk about abortion, if you want to talk about the right of women. If you don't want to talk about that, we can end the interview, and I'm happy to have had this
ask this, and
opportunity.
then we'll move on. Do you believe that there's good and evil?
I absolutely do.
You do, okay. And is it good to perform abortions or evil?
It's good to perform abortions when
Traps.
women seek them and they need them, and they ask me to do it, and I'm trained to do it, and I provide it for them. Yes, it is
Is it
good to
good
provide
for the
them.
unborn child?
I don't know what an unborn child is. I know what a fetus is. I know what when you give birth,
Is
you
it
become a
good or
child.
evil for
I know
the
how to
fetus?
end a person.
Is it good or evil for the fetus?
I don't
He makes a
relate to life
distinction
in terms
between
of absolute good and evil. So
Do you believe that there's good and evil?
I absolutely do.
You do, okay.
I don't relate to life in terms of absolute good and evil. So
Does it bother you that it might be evil to the fetus?
it doesn't bother me at all because
Amazing.
a fetus can't be more important than the woman carrying it.
Get back to that. That's ridiculous.
Right. Okay. It's ridiculous because you don't agree with it, and that's fine. If that's your
What do you-
metric,
what do you-
everything I
In a
might
way,
say
it just
might be
sound like
ridiculous to you
semantics.
because maybe it's perplexing
A lot of
to
his
you
answer.
that people think for themselves.
No, it's
but,
not perplexing.
But it is.
You're not
because-
thinking for yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm not thinking the way you think.
You
I
are
would
not
think.
thinking for
Okay,
yourself.
well,
Somebody
I would
not
One
think-
thing I know
for
for
themselves.
Okay.
and without a doubt,
Uh-huh.
there's some things I'm not sure about, but one thing I am sure about,
Uh-huh.
you're not thinking for yourself.
Okay.
How many abortions have you
Might know something we don't.
performed in your career?
As many as necessary.
How many is that?
What difference does it make if it's 1,000 or 100,000?
Why you don't think that would make a difference?
Okay. What difference
Would
does
to
it make?
me.
Oh, let me ask, how many months do you do it at the 9th month if the woman wanted?
No, that's not legal.
Where do
and
you,
that-
or if it was legal, would you do it?
Well, I don't answer hypotheticals because to talk about an unborn pregnancy as a baby is very inflammatory. Stages of development matter. If you say that a baby and a fetus are the same, it's like saying also an oak tree and an acorn are the same. Is it the same if you step on an acorn and as you chop down a 100-year-old oak tree? It is not. And that's why
First
as
of all,
a
you
trained
can't
physician,
compare an acorn to a baby. Human being.
don't get lost in the analogy. That the
But
ability
that's
to
not
think
very,
in a crib.
that's not very nice. So I want to know, once you pull this baby out of the womb,
I don't
after
pull
you
babies out of the womb.
after you kill the baby inside the
I
womb,
don't kill babies.
and you suck it out, however you get it
I
out.
remove pregnancies by standard medical techniques.
And when you
and when
see-
at 88 at 12 weeks, that is a suction procedure.
And when you
Now, do
see
you wanna
that
talk
child, yes, when you see that child, does it bother you at all?
It doesn't bother me at all to end a pregnancy that a woman doesn't want because the woman who comes to me is my patient. If you want to have I've never walked out of an interview, but if you want to have a meaningful conversation, ask me some meaningful questions.
Okay, I'm
Otherwise,
about
this
to
interview
now.
is over.
But I thought the whole conversation had been meaningful.
No, because I haven't really. You haven't asked. You have asked me questions that prompted me to answer in a certain way, and then you offered your critique. Everything has been about what your impression of
You
about who
asked
I
me.
am and what I do.
You asked
right?
me.
Right, I ask you because I'm still trying to figure out what
And
the
now
point
you're
of this.
complaining.
Okay, I don't complain because I have the power of exit. I can walk out here any moment that I want.
Let me ask.
I'm indulging you.
You are the physician plaintiff in a federal lawsuit preventing the closing of a Mississippi-only abortion clinic.
Correct.
Is that true? You know, I went down to Mississippi and protested that clinic. We've been fighting to get that clinic closed for a long time.
That's important. That's unfortunate.
It's going to happen.
Because you are indifferent
It's
to
the
what
only
that
one
means
that's
to the
left.
women, right?
I'm sorry?
There are actually 7 states where there's only one clinic.
talking
You're going to
about
go
in
to each
Mississippi.
state to protest where there's one clinic
Don't
left?
give me an idea. Did the father have a say-so about his child?
Should the father have the say-so over a process that's going on in a woman's body? No.
Is that his child in the woman's body?
A pregnancy,
Stop.
when a woman is carrying a pregnancy, whoever she decides the paternity is related to,
He
and
got
they
stuck.
have the kind of relationship where she wants to have that child. A woman doesn't have to relinquish control of her body to anyone.
Is that his child inside of her body?
I guess it depends on what state you're in, right?
Is that his child inside the woman's body?
Yeah, no, because a woman doesn't have property.
You didn't really say no.
No, it's not his child. It's if they continue that pregnancy,
Well, how is it her
it's
child
their
then?
child, right?
How is it her child?
When she
both of
gives
theirs.
birth. Well, as I said to you, when
You really said no, it's
I
not
said
his child?
it's not as a property as he has some claim
You put
over
all
his
that
woman's
extra
body.
stuff onto it.
Okay.
You just said no, it's not his child.
It's not his child. It's
Okay.
their
Well, whose
child.
child is it?
It's their child if they
Because-
have a joint
But should,
enterprise, right?
should he have a say-so in that?
Not unless he can take all the risks that go with continuing a pregnancy. No.
It's amazing.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
somewhat.
that can be amazing when you hear that other people can think too.
So you believe you're thinking?
Ooh,
Does
cold.
it bother you that every day between 1,200 to 1,500 black babies are aborted every day?
It doesn't.
That doesn't
I don't
bother you
abort
either?
babies. No, it doesn't.
Did you
Numbers.
start making more money after you started to
What
perform
difference does it
abortion?
make how much money I make?
It's important because that might be your motivation.
Well, whatever my motivation is, if I get paid for the services I provide, I'm entitled to get
So
paid.
when did you start making more money?
Why-
making money
why does that
before or
matter?
after?
I'm a private citizen. I don't have to answer to you about what my finances are.
And
How
why
much
not?
money do you make?
Let me ask, what is a man?
What is it?
Yeah, what is a man?
What is a man?
You don't know?
Do you?
So what is love?
What is a man?
What is love?
What is it?
Do you know what it is?
I do.
What is it?
Good
what is it?
questions.
Tell me your definition. I'll tell you if I agree with you.
You're not going to answer that because we're running out of time and you're wasting my time. So you don't know what a man is?
I do.
What is a man?
What kind of test is this? What is a man? What is a man?
Apparently
kinda
you don't
see
know
where
what
he's
a
going
man
with
is. So
this.
let me ask,
Okay.
do you love black people?
I love all people.
And what is love?
What is love?
Do you love the unborn child?
I love people.
How about the unborn child?
Unborn children aren't people. I don't know what an unborn child is. I know what a fetus is.
Do you
I know
love-
what a pregnancy
Do
is,
you
but I
love
don't know
the
what.
fetus?
I love women and their pregnancies. If a woman's carrying a fetus and she wants to continue, I love and will support her ability to support that. If a woman's pregnant and is carrying a fetus and she no longer wishes to carry that pregnancy, I love her enough to help her accomplish her goal safely.
Amazing. This past June,
But let me ask you a question. How can you say you love a pregnancy more than you love the woman carrying it?
I love both.
Okay, so when it's not in the best interest of a woman to continue a pregnancy, how can you prioritize the fetus over the woman who's carrying the pregnancy?
Because the child should have a chance to live
What
as well.
what about a female child who's carrying a child? Does a woman have a right to thrive?
She has a right, and so does the unborn child.
Okay,
Yes.
and so when those interests are competing, whose interests
They're
are
not
important?
competing.
Are
It
you
all
a
depends
doctor?
on what you mean
Only
by
Are you a doctor?
competing.
Only in the ego mind
you a
of the
doctor?
selfish woman that want to kill the child.
So a
You
woman.
don't have to be a doctor to know that, man.
You don't have-
This past June, you were
Get
interviewed
him, Mr.
as
Peterson.
part of a Shout Your Abortion event in Seattle. What is Shout
Oh,
Your
man.
Abortion?
Shout to Abortion is an effort by women to reject the stigma and shame that people who feel like they're able to tell women what to do with their bodies and that because they can't physically prohibit them, that they try and shame them away from making their own decision. They've decided to not stand in the shadows, just like gay people have decided not to hide their being gay anymore.
And so they're trying to take the shame out of killing the unborn child.
Well, you can frame it however you want.
I was down at a slut walk down in
Okay.
Los Angeles last Sunday, and they're trying to take the shame out of being sluts.
No,
Oh, wow.
Why do you want to take the
Well,
shame out
they
of
want
it?
to take they want to take the shame
Funny.
out of being sluts the same way people try to take the sting out of folk calling them niggers, right?
Amazing.
Amazing. What's so
Amazing.
amazing about people when people call you names beyond your when people call you names that are intended to disparage or to embarrass or to harm
Now
you.
we all the way off
When
the
you can't
rails.
change your name, maybe you can change the meaning of the word. And
This is
so
off
maybe
track.
they're trying to
Calling
use that.
you a name and having an abortion or being want to be perceived as a slut is not the same thing. But I saw a video of you there, and you were on stage with an actress by the name of Martha Plimpton, and she was cheering on. Yes, I had an abortion in Seattle.
Yep.
And you're not the only place I've had this abortion.
Yeah.
And she said she wanted your review of her abortion. What
She's
was
a
going
comedian.
through your mind
She's a comedian, and
when
she
this
was,
woman
she was
was sitting there celebrating killing her unborn children?
What was going through my mind was she was telling people who think like you that I don't really care what you think of me. And then the same way that black people had to tell white people when they called us niggers and they said that, you know, somebody with your color skin can't become a physician. She was telling them, I don't really care what you think about me. And I support anybody who finds enough self-dignity and self-love to say to folk who judge and to stigmatize and to shame them that I don't really care what you think about me.
You're judging the people who disagree with you about what you're doing.
No, I don't know. I don't
Yes,
judge.
you are. You're
I don't-
judging them.
Well, no.
Well, yes.
In order to not make the video much longer, I'm gonna try to break it down as fast as I can, hopefully. For me, in the beginning, what I heard was a lot of semantics from the doctor, from the OBGYN doctor, I mean. And then it got to where he started sounding to like, you know, there was no spirituality in what he was doing. You know what I mean? He looked to the religious books, and he saw where it didn't say that you couldn't do this, and it didn't say that women didn't have control over their bodies. Okay, I totally get that, and I, for one, am a person. I feel like women should have the right to choose that. Okay, because I know there are gonna be women who just abort children for no reason at all, but we can't take away the service completely, because there are still going to be people who have to have these type of procedures done, whether it be for physical reasons, you know, and they can't actually carry a baby. It's going to be people who actually get impregnated by people who violated them. So, you know, we still going to need this service. So I, for one, I am pro-choice, you know, and I do, you know, understand that, yes, there are going to be some people who take advantage of this because of, you know, the fact that, you know, it's there, you know, but there are, you know, we can't take it away simply because there are those people there, because there are going to be people who need it also. You know what I mean? That part for me. And back to the good OBGYN doctor. I understand Jesse Lee Peterson was ruffling his feathers a bit. He was trolling him a bit, and he was like bullhead charging him a little bit. But you can't wear the hat you wear and not expect some type of criticism. You dig? There's more people who think spiritually on the planet than there are those who only think numbers. You dig? To me, he was basically just giving you how he felt about it in the realm of education. You know what I mean? And I understand, yes, there is room for education. I do understand how you can come up with a curriculum for stages of development in a fetus. I understand all of that totally. But I still was raised in the church, and don't get me wrong, I don't follow the churches now because I understand what's really going on, but I do understand spirituality, and I do understand that, you know, something had to make us. I don't believe this Darwinism crap, you know what I mean, where it was a cat who had to find, you know, a way to put himself or his people in the mix because he didn't know exactly where they fit in, you know. But then, because his type of people were the type of people who only studied or specialized in survival of the fittest, meaning, hey, you got this. If I'm stronger than you, I'm gonna take it from you. You know, that's the type of thing they were on then. You know what I mean? The people who were actually writing the books. You know what I mean? So that don't necessarily mean it's right. You dig? So yeah, you can sit on here all day and talk about how, you know, and but then also he's also contradicting himself, because he said at one point that he always questioned himself. First of all, you can't say that you decided to do this because you felt like it was right because all the things you looked at, but then you decided to turn around and say all the time, well, hey, you know, I be questioning myself. I don't know if I should be doing this. That don't even sound right. No, forget that. And I don't mean to sound like I'm jumping all over, dude. It's just that I have to play both sides. You know, I do understand what he mean when he starts in about, you know, about stages of development and stuff like that. Yes, I understand. And, you know, in certain stages of development, you don't have a consciousness or whatnot. But who's to say that? Some cat who thinks he knows it all about biology, you dig? And you know, he don't even know nothing about the people who made us this way. But he could say that, you know, this fetus doesn't have a soul. Is that what you're saying? I don't necessarily agree with all that. You know, I understand how you can actually lead people to believe that, because most people want to believe in the books, you know, but man, the books ain't always what we should, you know, we shouldn't cast out the spirituality just because a book says this or a book says that, you know. And still, I don't want to make it sound like I'm jumping all over, dude. It's just that I've been trying to make this video for a minute, and I really, really wanted to express myself on how I felt about what he was saying, you know, because he got to a point in this video to where he was frustrated with Mr. Peterson, you know. And I understand how you could feel like the man attacking you, you know, I understand, but you can't hold that job. You cannot hold that job and not be prepared for people like him. That wouldn't even make sense to me. No. And then to be so arrogant about it, come on, man, be for real. I'm sorry. I had to make this video. I know the actual video is from a couple years ago and the laws have changed, but I still think that this video is very, very relevant because of the fact that I want you to see how the people who are actually performing these procedures actually think. You know what I mean? I can't say that he accounts for all of them, but from the way he is describing it, there ain't that many of them, you know? I thank the creator for, you know, me being here. Thanks for watching. Salute.